Hello again, and welcome to Polysaturated. This is episode four. This is episode 4. Thank you so much for joining us, for sticking with us, or for joining us for the first time. I am one of your hosts, Crow, and I am here with
Zan
and
Jay.
And we are so happy to have you with us today. Our topic today is the spectrum of polyamory to swinging. Alternative lifestyles, alternative families. There is a lot of gray space and area between those two
ears
sorts of life. Well, yes, between these ears, we got nothing but net in here.
Nothing but net.
Nothing but net. Generally speaking, when you hear people talk about polyamory, a lot of people who aren't familiar with it seem to be confusing it with what's the style of marriage that would be referred to as swinging or swingers, or into the lifestyle.
That was one of the first things that we got asked about once we came out to some family members. Like, well, why are swingers? And I was like, well, we're not swingers. We're poly because we're in a committed relationship with another couple.
Right.
Well, it wasn't quite that nicely put, but
you're absolutely right about that.
and I think it was phrased. So, did you both just wake up one day and decide to be swingers? I think that's pretty much how exactly it was put.
Yeah, that is how it was put.
I was like, well, actually.
Ooh, you used the "well, actually" part.
Yeah. She did.
Yeah, well, when you come at me with an attitude, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you get what you get.
Yeah.
So Jay and I, we didn't come into the poly lifestyle as swingers. We came into it as, well, we just came into it straight as poly. Crow came into the poly lifestyle as a swinger.
Right.
And so for the audience, how did you convert from, I'm not say convert, but how did you switch over from, and how and why did you switch over from swinging to poly?
It was a very natural progression. So my wife and I at the time had tried swinging just to experience the whole thing, to experiment, to try to see what that kind of thing was all about. Sounded like it would be an awful lot of fun. It was also kind of hollow. We felt like it was okay, this is fun, but then we just go home.
Okay.
And we lived in kind of a very rural area. Rural. How do I say this?
No, you did say rural.
I said
rural.
Okay.
It's correct. It's just when you repeat it, it sounds like you're not saying it correctly.
No. Which is why I did
it doesn't even sound like a word anymore.
No.
Yeah,
rural.
You're welcome.
Rural.
It's one of those words.
Rural. Okay.
You're welcome.
Cytoplasm.
Cytoplasm. What the fuck?
Elasticity.
I don't even know.
Monogamish.
Monogamish. Yeah, that's monogamish could be defined as somebody who is generally or openly monogamous, but really rides the edge of
in other words, they kind of cheat
of cheating, or so they're monogamish. They're not quite.
So are serial monogamous.
And we can define that. You're supposed to be giving us our definitions. Where are you at?
Yeah.
Well,
where's our dictionary?
Where's our dictionary, Jay?
Hold on.
But so to the story, it was one of those things where we wanted more than just that. If you generally like somebody's company, that was what we found. If you like somebody's company enough to have sex with them, we found that we wanted to spend more time than just that with them. And as you develop a deep and abiding friendship, any kind of boundaries that you have start to get a little bit blurry. And so we said, we started noticing, hey, we're starting to have feelings for these people.
Wait, you got feelings?
Holy cow, yeah, at least one.
I keep mine in my sock drawer.
It's a sickly little thing.
Yeah, I know.
It's right there next to Jay's last nerve.
Yeah.
In his sock drawer.
It's usually putting lots of pressure on it.
Try humping it.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's like the dog that's humping your leg that you just get used to, and you like drag it around the kitchen while you're cooking.
I'm a pleasure to be around. I don't know what you're talking about.
So in this heavily edited version of our show, we're going to throw in the definition of serial monogamy. So Jay, what is the definition of serial monogamy?
If you are a serial monogamist, you're someone who continues to be in an exclusive relationship, one after the other, without ever having a break in between. A serial monogamist is a person who loves being in love and always finds him or herself in a relationship all the time.
Yeah, so out of one into another type of thing.
They're the type of people who already have somebody lined up before they end the relationship they're currently in.
Mm-hmm. So they almost cheat, but not quite. They end the relationship first and then get out of it. And
just to get into another one.
The funny thing is I find a lot of serial monogamists are hypercritical of polyamorous or even swinging lifestyles because they think you should be exclusive, and yet they don't have the ability to stay exclusive for long.
Right, and they, like you said, they borderline cheating, and sometimes even cross that line of cheating because they realize that the person might not be for them, or they find something else that interests them. It's like a I guess dating ADD.
There's a quote that is so much an example of monogoggles, to use Jay's patented term. That is patent pending.
That's my word. Thank you.
What is Jay's
TM with the circle, or
Jay's trademark.
The C with the circle.
That's copyright.
Yeah, but it's all of that.
It's all that.
All of
but
that.
It's a famous quote actually from Johnny Depp. He said, "If you're caught between two people, choose the second one, because if you really wanted the first one, you wouldn't have found the second one."
Ooh, that is a good one.
It's a good one in that it demonstrates the powerful influence of a monogamous perspective, monogoggles.
Mm-hmm.
Because there he is saying, you didn't want the first one. Well, sure you did.
Mm-hmm. At one point, yeah.
Sure you did. And you probably still do, which is why you feel torn. You wouldn't feel torn if you didn't still want the first one. You wouldn't be stuck between two people the way he talks. And what he's...
No, that's not true. Some people are adverse to change, and they're cowards about making the right decision for moving forward or hurting someone.
That's true.
And there can be... That's true. Well, just shut me down then.
I mean, there can be the option of having both or wanting both. Right. And that's what you're leading into.
Right.
Yeah.
On the other side of the spectrum, Jay and I came into the poly lifestyle a little bit differently. It was when I had noticed that Jay was having feelings towards a female friend, and we had a discussion as to her being bi. And I told her it would be okay to explore those feelings that she had. And that's kind of how it started. I mean, we really didn't have a name. We didn't know that polyamory was a thing at the time. We
had no idea.
No
and
clue.
We continued on. We've always been very affectionate in nature, even with just our normal friends.
Mm-hmm.
I would offer back rubs, head rubs, different things like that, and it was never really any sort of sexual affection. It was just something I did.
Her hands are magical.
All be sitting around, and I would just kind of feel the pull, I guess, to put my hands on them, and it's part of, I guess, a different aspect of me. And so even just rubbing their shoulder, or just a touch on the shoulder or whatever, I'm very affectionate by nature. And so as things developed over the years, we got closer and closer with our friends, and they became more like a family unit to us, I guess. And then we had a few pretty wild nights, and then we would have sort of friends that we felt more of a sexual draw to,
right,
than just a friendship. There's a line, you feel it. There were some friends that I wish I would have had a sexual attraction to be able to have a romantic relationship with. They would have made the most amazing wives, or husbands, or girlfriends, or boyfriends, or partners. But there's a line. You can't push yourself to have feelings that you don't have.
Yeah, you're not going to force it. Force those feelings to exist.
So we would continue on. Fast forward a few years, there were a couple of people that we just felt more intimate with.
Right.
And it was a steady thing, and it's not like we were out looking really for other people.
No.
But we continued the intimacy, and it wasn't actually until a relationship with one of my girlfriends ended, and I posted something on social media that I posed a question: does polyamory even actually work? And my ex at the time commented and said, what do you think we were?
Well, not
And
really commented. She called you out on that one.
She really did, and I'm glad she did, because
Commenting
I didn't realize the weight of the question and the statement that I had put out there.
See, that's a problem with coming from a small town with very, not a lot of information out there for different lifestyles.
But for us, especially I guess for Zan and I both, when we started, it was more of a connection based than a physical attraction or a swinging based experience, I guess, that we were looking for. And we
Right.
weren't even really
No, we weren't looking.
actively looking. It just kind of happened.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, neither is wrong or what, unless you decide that that's wrong for you or doesn't work for you. But there's a lot of times I wish we would have had those experiences.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of times looking back, we're like, huh, that sounds like that would have been fun.
Yeah, there's been a lot of moments that we've come across that we didn't know it was a thing. We've had a couple situations where things were getting heated with friends. This is way back in the day, like right after high school, that we were getting heated, and so we look back and like, that's what they were doing. Okay, it's like we excuse ourselves because things were getting hot and heavy.
We were so naive.
Oh yeah.
And too respectful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because like we were literally getting a lap dance.
Yes.
And we actually ended up dating that person
Later on.
years later.
Yeah, and
That ended. Oh, God, that was bad.
So, note to all the listeners out there, just like any relationship, polyamory can go bad. You will have good relationships, you will have bad relationships, and you'll have those like, what the fuck was I thinking?
One of the biggest things people try to do to give a warning against polyamory or any other kind of alternative lifestyle is they always say the same thing. It's all going to end in tears. It'll all end in tears. And
What doesn't?
what doesn't end in tears? Like, what relationship ends like on a just, oh, okay, well, here's your stuff. Go ahead.
If you actually care,
bye.
give a damn at all, of course it's going to
Yeah,
be hurtful.
of course it will hurt if it ends. Generally speaking, you get into these relationships trying to not have it end.
Right.
Actively trying to protect it, actively trying to nurture it, actively trying to do all that. And if you're not, then it's going to end.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that you mentioned that I wanted to give some address to was that you two talk things over.
Mm-hmm.
And you said that you would be okay. Zan said that, I'm gesturing here on the microphone. Zan said that told Jay that she could go ahead and explore and
Right.
experiment. Now, people who are critical of poly life or any kind of ethical non-monogamy, they have a tendency to go, oh, well, that's because he didn't have enough self-esteem to tell her no.
No,
To
that is
tell her
definitely
that-
not why.
Right, and that's not why.
Right.
But people
Actually,
will say that.
he had to push me, and I was kind of,
You were very reluctant.
I was very reluctant, and I didn't engage for quite some time.
No, and the reason why I pushed her was because I saw that she was missing something. That it was one of those things that if you're with somebody and you love them and you care for them and you can tell, you can read their body language, you can read their emotions, you can read all that stuff, and you see there's something missing, and that is what I saw with Jay. And it wasn't one of those things where like, oh, do it. No, I want to watch type of thing. It was one of those things where, look, I really think you should explore this because I feel like you're missing something in your life.
That's what I mean. It was not done out of lust,
Right.
which if you get there through there, however you get there is however you get there. But it also wasn't done out of weakness. Oh, I can't tell her no because then she'll leave
Right.
me. It was done out of abundance. It was done out of love
Right.
and genuinely wanting this person to be their best self.
Be fulfilled.
Right, and
Right.
I didn't, and I didn't do it out of selfish motives because I told Jay that I didn't have to be involved in any of it, and for the time being, as I didn't want to because I wanted it to be her experience, not mine, not ours. I wanted it to be hers. I want her to explore her feelings